You know, besides doing car reviews, I always dreamed of making music. Now I can finally combine both. Oh, you want the techno version? Well, that music is from the all-new Astra, Opel or Vauxhall in the UK. But actually, especially Opel wants to emphasize that this car is German. It's built in the Rüsselsheim plant in Germany, and they basically want to Germanize their whole brand image with a modern German image, of course. Then you can see here the Opel visor, here blacked out in the sporty GS-Line. And with Thomas and Autogefühl here today, we have a very special episode because there are so many exciting things to come, exterior, interior, and in driving, even with manual gearbox driving here today. Yes. That's also a very strong thing to come. Here, the LED lamps, LED standard, Matrix LED optional, IntelliLux, and also with a modern daytime running light right here. Interesting details, the nozzles here for the wiper fluid. Look at that, they are directly attached to the wiper. And that's of course more efficient, and someone driving behind you will also be very happy about that because it stays on the glass. We're in Portugal here for you today, and the things, you know, the Portuguese, they have so many beautiful beaches. They more care about beach life. We Germans, we more care about important questions like which one is the better vehicle, the Astra or the Golf? And for decades, usually the Golf won that one. But in this case here now, with the new generation, we have to ask ourselves, also comparing the new Golf 8, which one is the better one now? Towards the end of the review, I will give you my take on this, and also looking forward to your feedback. With 4 meters 37 or 172 inches, the length and also the width more or less stayed the same. And indeed, inside the compact segment, the Astra is rather a short vehicle. That means a lot of agility and flexibility on the road. But of course, for the rear legroom, we'll see about that. One interesting detail here, maybe you guys from Germany were also a little bit older, remember this design element here. It's taken from the Kadett D, so from one of the vintage Opel vehicles. Yeah, I always like to see these citations, definitely. In the side profile, also a very sporty profile, here also with a hip area. And you can see one thing I don't like that much is here the side of the windows. This is just like, you know, this rubber design that looks a little bit cheap. Other than that, a really premium design, very consistent. Did you know, by the way, that especially in the UK, so greetings to all our UK friends, yeah, you're the Vauxhall guys, actually almost everyone now picks the two-tone color. So in Germany it also gains popularity, but especially popular in the UK. Here the two-tone color, you can also get it in uni-body color. As for wheels, 16 to 18 inch. These here are the biggest 18 inch. This contrast also works very well here in the rear with the GS-Line and the sinister dark letters Astra. Yeah, but I think for the clean design also in the rear, really slim horizontally drawn tail lamps. So I think, yeah, I mean, at the lower part, wait a minute, there's no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. Are they getting unemployed with all the EVs and now the cleanly designed lower ends for the combustion engines? Well, I think clean, intelligent, clever, modern design and torsional rigidity has been increased by 15%. So they also did some work just underneath what you can see. And who discovered that? Tell me in the comments. That third small... Oh, look at that. The third braking light. Nice, slim, yeah, quite beautiful. Oh, and also a little bit sweet, isn't it? But I think, nice idea. Turning indicators or hazard lights replaces the front daytime running light. And that's why it looks pretty spectacular. Well, but in the rear it's not that spectacular. And considering that size here, oh, ain't that cute. Obviously taken that one from the Tesla Model 3. Guys, I found more music. You know, I sometimes say that especially the Korean cars like Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, they make really strange sounds always in the interior when you have lights on and keys not detected and so on. I totally take that back. It's not only the Koreans. What do you do when you want to drink, but you have a manual gearbox and then you suddenly drive slower and you need to shift? Well, there we go. That's why I always call the passengers co-driver, you know, because they can also shift. You just have to, you know, Thomas and Thomas here, double Thomas team today. Thank you. We trust each other 100%, and that's why he also knows that I always have the clutch, you know, pressed when he needs to shift. So, yes, that's teamwork, right? Isn't it? And here we also have a golden color for you today, also with the GS-Line. But this golden or yellow color was already available for the very first Astra, so they also side the past a little bit. I think it's very spectacular. Well, the Golf initially with a 7.5 facelift was also available in that color. But this one here definitely now, I mean, a sporty appearance no matter which color you pick, isn't it? And the Astra will also be released as the Sports Tourer. This is the estate version, here in the beautiful Thomas Blue. And the interesting thing is, the all-electric version that is to come will both be available as the hatch and here also as the estate. And this will be a unique selling point. An estate, a wagon, all-electric. Looking forward to that. Wheels start from 16-inch. These, the ones see here, 17-inch. From the car outside, exactly, I have it here as the specimen right here. A peculiar specimen. So here, these ones are the 17-inch. Other styling is available pure in black, like this for the GS-Line. And then the biggest ones, 18-inch. We also have our primary vehicle for the day here with the red accentuations, or if you want them rather like this, also the 18-inch ones. Well, the car key is not German because this is a key we know from Peugeot actually. Then door closing sound. That is solid and indeed Golf alike, you know, the Golf always has a good door closing sound. This one is also really solid like that. Then also soft touch here at the inside of the doors. And then you have a lot of material mix that, you know, here's soft touch, yes, but one material, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So you can like almost count to 10 for different material mixes. That is maybe, yeah, not really a calm design, I would say. And here also in this hard pack then. What is very interesting here, you have this new dual screen setup. This is the base version. Then you have these, you know, bigger bezels. And option you can get the Pure Panel Pro, which then has a pure glass cover and also a magnesium carrier behind. Also interesting, looks a little bit more sophisticated then. Here the steering wheel has you know, this new Opel design where you have the vertical compass, so to speak here. Still real buttons at the steering wheel, that's good, and they also resonate quite well in the quality. These here are the upgraded AGR seats, so you see you have more shoulder support, leatherette outside, inside fabric. They are also available with Alcantara, if you like. That looks even more sophisticated. And we also have a different trim seat for you, which doesn't have, you know, all the options, not so much shoulder support, but also available with bright fabric. So a lot of interesting seating options there. And indeed, also the comfort is really good on all seat forms. I tested the other one earlier as well. And here also it's really very comfortable. You know, a normal compact hatch isn't usually famous for the best comfort, but these seats here are really good. I could very well imagine, even with 1.86 or 6'1", to drive a very long route with that one. Here, headroom, wow, yeah, a lot of headroom left, so very good position. Steering wheel, yeah, that is, feels a little bit weird. We had that on the Premiere as well, and this has this, you know, like, wow. So, and also when you release it here in the lower part, bang. So yeah, that is not the best from the build quality, but then we always showed you other things are better in the build quality. And yeah, just can stress again that the seats are really most awesome. What is funny here, look at that, here in this panel, these are the side air vents, and they are like closed, you hardly can see them. Then you can open it like this, and then you can also up and down. So yeah, very interesting, isn't it? My point is that these seats here are not only best in segment, they really give you so much comfort and hold you tight at the same time. They're even among the best seats overall, even if you compare way more expensive and bigger vehicles. There's just one catch to it, and that derives from this Peugeot and Citroën background or collaboration. The thing is that even when you take a seat in a Citroën or Peugeot 10 years ago or something, they always have this problem with the head restraints. They look great, but then when you put your head against it, you see that here, and you can basically shake it as if the attachment inside the seat would be a little bit loose. And so the funny thing is, you take a seat here, oh, that's 100% like an Opel development. It's different than also in the Peugeot and the Citroën and so on, and they are so great. But then you feel the head restraint. Yeah, okay, that's Peugeot Citroën. So I told them that, and they said, that's very good and interesting feedback, and now they want to work on this. Look at that, cockpit overview, and definitely dominated here by this huge panel. Once again, this is the base version, the other than with the glass. 2 times 10 inch. Yeah, you like 2 times 10 inch? Tap in the comments. And then you can see here, nice structured dashboard and the GS-Line with the red accentuation. And there are a lot of interesting details to come right now. So let's look at this one here. I think it's very interesting because you have that touchscreen, but at the same time, you have still the manual buttons here. This is the volume jog. You do not turn the whole thing. This is stationary, and then you turn that thing behind, and also with somewhat clicking sound. Also here for temperature, up and down. It's really good to have it while driving. And here, for example, for the seat heating and the heated steering wheel. And I really like to have separate buttons for all of that. This is really helpful, especially while driving indeed, and also sets it apart from the VW Golf now. And another thing, the VW Golf, we all know it, has software problems and it's also not that responsive. And let's see, it doesn't look most modern here, but actually does the job and seems to be quite responsive. You always have a home button. The software here itself, there we go, this is like a main menu. You can also have this digital climate view. It doesn't have the best overview, but at least it seems to be quite reliable. This is then the Apple CarPlay integration right here. Let's listen to the music here. See about that. It's actually quite decent from the sound, so can't complain about that. So overall, probably you will use the CarPlay. Maybe also the car internal GPS. It is at least usable. Rear view camera here also with the 360-degree view from above, and to me it's always most important that the resolution is decent, and indeed it seems quite clear, so decent resolution indeed. And this is the Pure Panel Pro in comparison. It will already start with the Elegance line, and then Ultimate and GS-Line will also automatically get it. So maybe most Astra will even have this one here than with the glass. It definitely looks more beautiful, and when there's low light you can't really see the transitions. Just when there's a lot of light, then you also see where the screens are really beginning. And yeah, once again a good rear view camera, and yeah, let's get out here. Just that you have an impression of how that looks like in comparison. Again, the screens are the very same. It's just that it feels differently also when you touch it. Of course, it feels, like glass because it is glass. Yeah, definitely brings more premium to the car. What would you prefer? Here are the digital instruments in the Pure Panel Pro. And you have then, not that really visible bezels there. And you cannot adjust too much, but the good thing is you can also have this map inside here. Not from the CarPlay though, but from the normal car internal GPS. And here we have the head-up display. It's a nice option. And the only thing is it seems a little bit squished. The numbers seem to be too high, you know what I mean? Interesting user interface. Right mirror, left mirror, and when you put this one here down or up, you adjust the height of the head-up display. Within the Opel team, a lot of effort went into the sound for the turning indicators or for the hazard lights. Let's listen. Really? I think there will be a facelift of that one soon. Look at that here. The alignment here is kind of like, you know, offset. But the funny thing is, this is like a secret chamber. And then, yeah, this surface here that looks just cheap. And then the black piano lacquer, so not satisfied with that. Here then, this is an inductive charging pad, but you can also have your cable connection. This is also funny because here the outline is also illuminated at night. This is like, hey, that's USB-A. And then you try USB-A, but no, it's USB-C on the inside. So kind of like a little bit misleading. Yeah, and then we have this huge bag here around the shifting lever for the manual gearbox. Auto gearbox will look different. Really nice feedback here from the gears. Also tell you more about that while driving. And then here, cup holder is here, a little bit adaptive on this side, on the other side not. And cool, my favorite then is here, leatherette cover, and this is also split armrest. Yo, like in a Mercedes. When you have an automatic gearbox, or here like in the plug-in hybrid, then the shifting lever looks like this, small and integrated. That's actually a more beautiful solution then. And then you also have the driving mode selector right here. And you also have different cup holders. Well, this area here, then this top cover, this is just so cheaply done. In Germany we would say, das geht gar nicht. As in, listen and repeat, das geht gar nicht. That would be like, this goes no way. Yeah, that would be the literal translation. And yeah, underneath, but that's actually better here in the automatic gearbox. Then you have two cup holders which are adaptive. That brings more, just more control to it, because then the bottles are being kept tighter and two times. The rear, let's check. Of course, these seats are quite voluminous. And it's not a long vehicle, so you see the seat needs to be higher that my knees fit in that recess. Then it would actually kind of work, but definitely the front passenger shouldn't be that large. So yeah, legroom is not that sufficient, but again, it's a short vehicle. It's not meant to be driven like with 5 tall adults all the time. Headroom wise, it's actually no problem. And of course you can, for example, say, hey, the passenger seat is being put to the front a little bit more, and then you can see this works a little bit better then, but you have to know that for tall people in the rear it's limited. The seating comfort itself, as for the fabric and so on, is actually quite good. So that's not the thing, it's just that you shouldn't be, shouldn't have too long legs actually. And then also another USB-C charger here in the middle. The middle armrest right here, cup holders are somewhat adaptive. And this is then, maybe for another smartphone or something. Well, the Golf here it's the Astra. Has the folding logo taken over from the Golf. Then 420 liters up to 1,340 liters. And here the width, 1.40 meters. And the length is just a little bit less than 70 centimeters or 26 inches. So it's not the biggest trunk, but it's also not the biggest compact vehicle. We had put all the luggage inside, and you see the sample luggage. If you have the petrol engine, like here, you have another space below that, and you can also adjust that cover and make the trunk a little bit higher like this. Then you are also more flexible. The plug-in hybrid version will use the space for the battery, and then it will always basically stay like this. And folding your seats, you have to go to the rear, and then you can do that. And here the total length is now 1.50 meters or 59 inches. This is the trunk of the plug-in hybrid. You see here, they did not go for this cover which is even with this height, so it directly has a step, therefore you don't lose then too much. Underneath there's a little bit more space, and then for example you can put your charging cable here. This is a big box now with this power juicer, but maybe underneath, maybe if it's a very small one, but rather than somewhere, I guess. And here we can directly see the differences between the base Pure panel. In the very base trim version, it will look like this with the bezels then. Screen the same, 2x10 inch. Indeed, also it's the same size here, and the plastic carrier behind, because that's basically enough. But already from middle trim level, and then also for the high trim level, so most Astra sold will probably already have this one. Then with the glass panels, so it's like 3 glass panels right here, and behind a magnesium carrier to make more stiffness then for this heavier glass, and you also don't have any rattling sounds or something. Of course, this one looks way more premium. And now we have the different seat forms back to back. You got that one? It's a good one, okay? Thank you. So here, this is then the more basic seat. It will also look like this from the form in the base seat version. Here then, we have the bright accentuations. This is then one option. Already actually, I can take a test seat also in these examples. Well, it's really comfortable indeed. This one here without the extended shoulder support. And then when you get the even sportier trim, for example in the GS-Line or in the Ultimate trim, you can see here these are the ones with the shoulder accentuations. This is in the red, then the microfiber. You can also put this one here longer with the other one as well. Seating comfort-wise in the lower area, it's quite similar. It's just the difference that you feel here. You have more support in the shoulder area. That's the main difference. And that's here the one we have also in our main vehicle for today, the GS-Line. Extended shoulder support, just done with fabric on the inside. Engines. First of all, interesting, no gas struts, but what we rarely see is in this segment here, in petrol engines, this very thick dampening mat. That's actually quite cool. Then also interesting here, these coolers for the IntelliLux LED. They obviously generate a lot of heat, it seems. As for engines, a 1.5 liter diesel or the main engine, 1.2 liter turbo petrol engine, 3 cylinders. 110 or here the 130 horsepower version, that one also optionally available with an automatic gearbox. Then 1.6 liter PHEV, that plug-in hybrid pure electric range 50 kilometers, 30 miles, 180 or 225 horsepower, and in 2023 the Astra-e pure electric. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, Performance Lounge with the Opel Astra 3-cylinder. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not even kidding. This feels really sporty, although it's such a small engine, but reasonable acceleration, and the great thing is the steering feels very good, and the car itself, the suspension, I mean, pushing it here into the corners, it doesn't even feel that you would have a strong front wheel bias or something, although it's only front wheel driven. It feels so great in the handling, it feels so sporty. It's really astonishing how well balanced this car is and how good you are basically, placed inside the vehicle with the seating position, that you are able to control this car basically in every direction just how you want to. This feels really, really great. Very excited about that. And at the same time, these sport seats keep us tight, but they are very comfortable, so there's no compromise really, so it has sportiness and comfort at the same time without being like a special super sports version, because here in the GS-Line, that's the visual sporty line, but there's no change to the suspension whatsoever. Very interesting. Here with the 1.2 liter turbo petrol engine, 130 horsepower, it's a 3-cylinder, but well, they often sound even better than the 4-cylinders. It's a very interesting finding, definitely. And I can already tell you so far, well, if you ask me if the Astra, saying that the Astra, not especially Opel, has become more Germanish, yeah, it does actually. So 15% stiffer from the chassis, you feel that. And it is really way sporty. Oh, it's crossed line. Now I can. So it's a lot of fun. Steering is really precise. You don't have much dead zone area. Good. That's a tree transport. Have you seen that? I'm not sure if the camera caught that. It was a tree that was transported upright. Interesting. Okay, back to the vehicle. Live now to Gefühl. So, feels really sporty, precise steering. It is quite silent here already at lower speeds. We'll soon also get to the motorway. Check out the speed and the noise insulation right there. Also acceleration from that engine. Also the seating position here in the special AGR seats. It's sporty, but yet at the same time comfortable. So it indeed feels engaging. And that might also be a reason still to go for a compact hatch, because it's a short vehicle. It feels indeed sporty and engaging. This is the GS-Line, yes, but it's not that this would be like a super special sports model, like, say a Golf GTI or something, you know. There's nothing comparable for that at this moment. But already feels engaging to drive. Here also with the 18-inch wheels, that means we have a little bit less dampening comfort for that, and it feels then a little bit sportier. But actually the comfort is quite good. What you do feel sometimes is in the rear there is this torsion beam and not the multi-link rear axle. You sometimes feel that when you're going over some bumps, and you feel that the front axle is a little bit more forgiving as for that, but it's not bad at all or something, you know. So yeah, I can understand they do that for cost savings, but the comfort is still given, so that's actually not a big issue. And before we do the acceleration, let me tell you something about fuel economy. When we more have it like a floating acceleration or motorway mainly, 5.5 liters on 100 kilometers with this engine, that's really good. So that's more than 40 mpg US, more than 50 mpg UK, so very decent. And here, third gear, uphill, turbo, I hit the throttle and there's still something coming. So although it's a very small engine, the performance is actually quite nice. So I'm really surprised that we can score these good driving figures, although this is that small engine. So that feels actually very, very nice. Shifting here, this time then manual work. Been a while since we had manual drive. The clutch is actually pretty soft, has a very good feeling, in and out, and the shifting here itself, it is without any big resistance, you know, that it doesn't feel clunky or something, not at all. But at the same time, when you put in the gears, you have this, you know, block. So there is some kind of feedback. So overall, happy with that. There's this huge, you know, bag around the shifting area. And the shift stick itself is actually quite long. I can easily access it. And so here, second gear, third gear is really a lot of fun. So this combination here, you know, I'm a fan of automatic gearboxes because they're just more comfortable. But actually here, having this more engaging hatch, and then the turbo that is actually saying like, oh, okay, you can push me a little bit. And the sporty oriented suspension with the wheels and the nice steering input here is really fun also to have the manual gearbox. So in this case, I would really say why not, especially because it's smooth. We also have that in Mazda sometimes, where Mazda is actually quite famous for not having the best automatics, but awesome manual gearboxes. And well, in this case here, for the Opel, seems also to be the case. And of course, the very same will count then for the Vauxhall version when you can get that one actually. Here once again, roundabout. See here how much steering input I need, not too much actually, and it feels indeed very natural. So the car quickly becomes one with you, and that's really a very good sign. And to me, if you compare the previous generation, it definitely feels more engaging and yeah, just more unified with the driver. So in all these aspects here, for example now, yeah, that's the water bottle G-force meter. When you hear the water bottle, Thomas will take out that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So once again, I'm really astonished how they made this version, which is not the explicit sports version, already quite sporty, and it's a lot of fun to drive. Here, once again, the 3-cylinder, when you push it a little bit more, even has a rather low frequency sonorous sound somewhat. And now Motorway, starting second gear, 40 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Rev limiter. Woo! And that's 120. Yeah. Why not? It's actually quite decent, you know. Of course, in the accelerating figure, not the most astonishing one, but really happy with that turbo here. That's definitely enough. It you don't need more for most situations. Here at 120 kilometers an hour or like 70 miles an hour, decent noise insulation, so it's reasonably silent. So happy with that. And assistance systems, can set it here on the steering wheel. Yeah, assistance on, cruise control set, there it is. So this is then also then the lane keeping assist. Now it should keep us in the lane. Yeah, it's actually pretty quick here, because you should keep your hands on the steering wheel. Yeah, now I overtake myself. But just to show you that it did actually job. Of course, the system is meant that you keep your hands on the steering wheel, but just to show you that it did actually work. So assistance systems wise, that was actually well done. Let's take a look at that blind spot monitor. There it is. That's just a small dot, but the thing is they overtake the logic of the French manufacturers, because they now belong all together, Opel, Peugeot, Citroën. And that means that the blind spot monitor only appears in that moment where the car is in the blind spot. And you can argue, yeah, then you know it. But usually the cars are coming from behind, they're approaching, and then maybe it's too late. So I'm more a fan of the system which is telling you in advance, hey, there's something coming ahead. Yeah, but definitely driving wise here, I mean, this engine has enough power, then you have good fuel economy, nice steering, stable also here at higher speeds. It's actually so much fun to drive this one. This is the biggest finding for today. I'm really enjoying the ride, and also with that manual gearbox. So has it become more Germanish? Hell yeah. And that means, well, how will marketing solve that for Vauxhall? Will they say it's also more, don't know. Will they paint every car in British racing green and say like, hey, this is like more British heritage for sporty driving? I don't know. Or will they say, we have Brexit, but at least our cars get more German? I don't know. What about you? And now the plug-in hybrid, let's put it to the sports mode. Then actually both engines are active, and let's do a rolling start from 20 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Plop, that's 80 it was, so pretty quick. For some even more power than here with this one. Power from both engines at the same time, from both motors at the same time. And the interesting thing is, how much different will it drive? So this is more weight here on board. At the same time, we have a little bit more power. Does it drive differently? It's really interesting. So from the first impression, it's not too different actually. See here, a little bit left and right. Still feels very good. The suspension setup, I asked the Opel engineers about that. They said it's not that this one would be stiffer, the other one would be stiffer. They said they adjusted it to the increased weight. It is definitely very similar, but at the same time you do feel a difference. It's really hard to describe the difference. So, So, when you have more weight, center of gravity might also be a little bit lower. So power-wise, of course, this one is more agile because you have the electric boost as well, and this is also the bigger engine, displacement-wise. Also have 4 cylinders instead of 3 cylinders. But I somehow have the feeling that the one with the smaller petrol engine felt a little bit more connected overall. What would you say as a passenger, Thomas B?
I do not feel any other situation for me. Co-pilot, there's nothing to see.
So I wouldn't say that you say like you can only go for this or for this engine because there would be a huge difference. But from my very subjective feeling, maybe then the pure petrol engine a little bit sportier and engaging because you only have that one powertrain. But however, here the transitions are also actually pretty smooth. If you go back to the hybrid mode, by the way, then the car decides for itself when to use which drivetrain. Then you also have an all-electric driving mode where it's mainly kept in the electric drive, unless you really floor it out. Then also the combustion engine hops on again. This is a safety thing when you want to enter a motorway or something. Pure electric range from our concise test, around 40 kilometers or 25 miles. So overall, definitely also pretty cool. When you are in this all-electric mode, then of course, especially here now when being in a city, you can enjoy the silence. You also have no local pollution then, that's of course a cool thing. And having this rather silent and smooth drive, especially in a city, can also be quite relaxing and calming. So if you have a charging opportunity and maybe can commute all electric during the week, yeah, and then of course for some it might make sense due to taxation and so on, then the plug-in hybrid might make sense. And indeed, more and more people go for the plug-in hybrid. What about you? Tell me in the comments, would you go for the pure petrol engine or would you pick the plug-in hybrid? As for me, I think I'm pretty open to both. Depends, I think, then on the concise offer, on the concise pricing in your individual market, and if it makes sense taxation-wise, and depending on the charging infrastructure, that would be the main things to consider. Wait a minute, there was still something missing. Yes, Astra or Golf. Well, the thing is, exterior-wise, this one looks so sexy now indeed. Interior-wise, the looks are actually quite good, and especially the seats are awesome. However, we also found a lot of parts on the interior say like, okay, cost savings, and you can explain why. This starts at 22,000 euros in Germany, for example. Of course, you can also get more expensive versions. But driving-wise, this one was so much fun that overall, at this moment, new Astra versus Golf 8, for the first time, I would pick the Astra indeed. Only, and now it gets really painful for VW, if you would ask me for the Golf 7. The Golf 7.5, the facelift, and the last one was really great. There I would still, consider which one I would pick. But Golf 8 versus this one, the Astra gets it. However, the Golf also has some advantages. Not the infotainment system, but other ones. You can check it out right here, the review. And of course, a sibling to this one here is the new Peugeot 308. It is quite similar. It also has sharing parts, but you should tune into that review.